Hello and welcome back to another week of Sambo iRacing. We're back with another track guide, this time at Misano GP in the Ferrari Challenge, the Ferrari 296. If you're new to my channel, what we do is a hot lap of breakdown and we're back in the cockpit one final time with the driving light on. Any questions, let me know in the comments, and the brake bias is shown on the dashboard. Right, let's start the hot lap. Right, let's start the hot lap. So we remain in fourth gear. We get nice and wide on entry. Brake up to about 80%, trail it off, leave it in third gear. Little dab on the brakes, down to second, up to third. Little lift as we go around turn 3. Back on the gas, nice wide entry into 4 here. All the way down to second gear. Get on the gas, nice and smooth. Again, really cutting this corner. Short shift up to third gear. Little lift as we go through turn 6. We go all the way over to the right hand side for the sharp turn 8, brake nearly up to 90% there, drop it down to second gear, long trail off, trying to feed that power back on nice and smooth so we can get nice and wide far entry into 9 and 10. Leaving it in second gear, a bit slippy on exit. Now we're just flat through 11. More or less just a straight. Go through turn 12 flat, and then we get on the brakes, dropping it down to third, back on the gas, big brake, and then back down to first gear through turn 14. Up to second, up to third, little lift as we go through 15. And then finally, nice wide entry, drop it down to second, get on the gas as early as possible. I missed the apex then trying to do that. And over and across the line in a 1:35.390. Now, I did drop about a tenth in the final corner, missing the apex, but it was still my best lap. Right, let's do the breakdown. Right, breakdown lap. We'll try and get through it as fast as possible. So the thing that you'll notice here is as we go past the 100 meter and the 50 meter boards, you have white lines painted at the side of the road, so it's very handy. First braking marker is the 100 meters as we get there. So we go through that and then we brake up to about 80%. We're going to trail that off down to the apex. We've dropped it down to third gear already. We're really cutting the corner, keeping our left-hand tyres on the rumble strip, which means there's no off-track there. Once we get down to the apex, that's when we start building back up on the gas, quickly up to 100%, and then once we are at the sort of mid-track, that's when we brake up to about 45%, drop it down to second, and again we're going to trail it down to the apex. Once again, really cutting the corner here, but keeping our right-hand tyres this time on the rumble strip. We go briefly back up to 100% and short shift up to third gear. Then immediately we're doing a little lift as we come through turn 3. Then we get back on the gas. And once again, it's going to be the 100 meter line here, which I'm just coming up to, is going to be our braking marker for turn 4. We're only braking up to about 70%, wiping all that speed off, drop it down to second. Then we trail it off down to the apex. And now we're just holding basically 2/3 throttle with a little bit of feathering to get through here, turning it, making sure we're cutting that corner, back on the gas. And we're going to short shift again up to third gear, followed by doing a little lift. So we do a little lift, get back on the gas, and we drop it up to third gear this time. It'll make a lot more sense when you're in the car. It's going to be the 100 meters that we're just coming up to now, the line here. So just before we get there, that's when we start getting on the brakes for turn 8. We brake up to about 90%, really hard braking. Wipe off all that speed. We've dropped it all the way down to second gear. Now we start trailing it off down to the apex in second gear. Once we're still trailing off, as you can see, once we hit the apex, that's when we start building back up on the gas. I don't get up to 100% until I've really opened the steering wheel. Back over to the left-hand side. And it's going to be this line that's all the way across the road here is going to be our braking marker for turn 10. So we hit that, and this is when we brake up to about 50%. So it's not the hardest braking. Initially, we get a little bit steeper, and we're just basically trying to trail it all the way down to the apex before getting back on the gas here at turn 10. This next bit's very straightforward. It's a long, bendy straight. So what we're going to do is we're going to go flat through the apex of turn 12, but we don't actually want to hit the apex because we want to make it a nice wide entry into 13. So we go through this apex, but just before we hit the end of the track on the left hand side, that's when we start getting on the brakes. We try and keep our steering wheel as straight as possible, braking up to about 60%, trailing it off, still trailing it off. We've dropped it down to third. Now we start getting back on the gas here once we're through turn 13. Now once we get over to the left hand side, we've got our steering wheel straight, and that's when we can brake hard for turn 14. So we brake up to about 84%. Trail it all the way off in first gear, and then we start getting back on the gas once we open the steering, once we're through the curb at turn 14. Right over to the right hand side, and now we're in second gear. We're going to go up to third gear and do a lift at the exact same time. So short shift and lift. Now we go through the 100 meter board here, and then just before the 50 meter board, we're going to brake for the final corner up to about 75%. We drop it down to second gear. I was a little bit late, so as you can see, I've missed the apex there by probably a meter or two. That did cost me a tenth. And then open across the line in a 135.390. We have one final version coming up now with the driving line on. Without me talking, enjoy.